Okay, so I am going to do a response video to Black Lives Matter's response to the NRA. And I know it's a few days late, but I am going to do this now. So, yeah, let's go ahead and roll it.
They use their guns to assassinate black people.
You say they use their guns to assassinate black people. Are you referring to white people? Are you referring to cops? Or both? I mean, you have to understand that black people also use their guns to assassinate other black people too.
They use their schools to funnel black students through a school-to-prison pipeline.
The school to prison pipeline, well, if the person wasn't doing any crime to begin with, they wouldn't be going to prison, now would they? Though I do agree that there is a disparity of crime between blacks and whites and stuff like that, and then in certain instances, people may get harsher sentences than others and things like that. But overall, if you're not committing any crime, then you wouldn't get any time.
They use their state institutions, bought politicians, business conglomerates, and white supremacist domestic terrorists to incite violence over and over again.
Okay, you mean over the past 2-3 years, Black Lives Matter and other radical groups haven't been inciting violence? If you want to talk about people inciting violence, look at what you're doing. Look at what the group that you support is doing. They've incited violence against whites, cops, and other black people. And then, if you're gonna talk about inciting violence, think about one of those marches where they'll like pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon, and like, what do you want, dead cops? When do you want them? Now. That's inciting violence, and not to mention the various instances of rioting and looting and burning down buildings and objects and cars and attacking people and things like that. But yeah, let's solely pay attention to the white supremacists that are inciting violence. Although I do agree that there are some instances where white supremacists do incite violence, but we have to understand that Black Lives Matter is a bigger cancer than any white supremacist group.
And then they use their new president to enact a law and order administration.
What's wrong with a law and order administration? Law and order is how we're supposed to operate. Law and order is how we get things done. Law and order is what establishes organization and prevents chaos in the country. That's what law and order does, and that's what law and order set out to do. What is so bad about him being a law and order president?
All to make them shoot first, to make them ask questions later, make them scream, "I thought he had a gun in his hand," and "I feared for my life," and "he matched the description of a suspect," and "she was threatening us." To shoot and kill Philando Castile, Charlene Lyles, Keisha Michael, Keith Bursey, and Waukesha Wilson.
Although I do agree that all those killings were messed up, and especially the Philando Castile one, in my opinion, I don't really know about the other ones, so I can't exactly comment on that. But if you're gonna talk about the killings, have you even investigated as to why those people got shot, and as to what happened before or after the interaction with the civilian and the police? Have you ever bothered to do any type of research, or are you going to continue to listen to liberal propaganda?
Until the only option left is for black people to disrupt the systems that keep us oppressed and build the kinds of communities in which we want to live.
I just got to say this. You are not oppressed. I repeat, you are not oppressed. So please stop spreading this victim narrative that you are oppressed when you are not. And when you talk about disrupting the system, what system are you talking about? What systems of oppression are you talking about?
And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse to kill more of us. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our communities and our struggle for freedom, is to fight this violence with the raised, clenched black fist of resistance.
When you talk about violence, think about the violence that we inflict on ourselves daily. Well, we don't want to talk about that. We want to sit back and talk about how white people promote violence to promote our own race-based agenda, as I clearly see here.
We are Black Lives Matter, and we are freedom's future place. Wait, hold up. What's with the aggressive fear-mongering video tactics?
It's funny how you mentioned fear-mongering video tactics, but Black Lives Matter does fear-mongering things every single day. Or at least every single time that they're advertised. It's fear-mongering, talking about how black people are going to get shot by the police randomly. That's fear-mongering. So if you want to talk about fear-mongering, look at what you and your group is doing.
Someone cut the music and bring up the lights. Better. We're talking about our lives here. When the NRA issues a public call to their constituents inciting violence against people who are constitutionally fighting for their lives, we don't take that lightly. We know that we are not safe, but we are not scared either. We will continue to produce media, teach students, march, and protest to not only protect the First Amendment as fiercely as the NRA protects the Second, but to protect our lives from gun-toting racists.
Oh, you lack self-awareness, don't you? It's like you have no self-awareness whatsoever. Is that when you talk about promoting violence, like I said before, look at what Black Lives Matter is doing. And then you talk about gun-toting racists. Not all people who own guns are racist. Sure, there are some, but not all. But anyway, if you want to talk about the fear-mongering agenda and things like that, as I keep saying this, look at what you're doing. Look at the crime that we're doing to ourselves. Just stop being a hypocrite. Be self-aware.
We demand the NRA immediately remove their dangerous propaganda videos narrated by conservative talk radio hosts Dana Lash and Grant Stinchfield.
Funny how in the end where you talk about racist rhetoric and fascism and stuff like that, but y'all are the main ones who are saying F white people and disallowing white people to come to your events, and yet at the same time you expect them to be sympathetic to your cause. It's interesting how you talk about racist rhetoric when you promote black supremacy on the regular. It's funny how you talk about fascism when you ban and when you completely disregard any objection to your narrative, any disagreement to your narrative. That is mind blowing to me how self unaware you people are. And with that being said, until we see the problems that we do in ourselves, in our own community, we can't really walk around saying Black Lives Matter and expect people to take us seriously. And on that note, like, comment, subscribe, and support me on Patreon. And please support me on Patreon in the link below. All right, guys. Peace.